Girl finds an injured wolf cub, but when its mother arrives, she learns a shocking truth. Maya sat on the wooden steps of her house, listening to the night. She had always loved the way the wind carried whispers through the trees, how the river hummed a quiet tune, and how the wolves in the distance spoke in long, lonely howls. Unlike the other kids in her village, she didn't fear the forest. She loved it. It had been 5 years since her mother had disappeared into Mistwood Forest. One evening, she had gone out on a research trip, following a strange sound, and never returned. The search party had found no clues, no tracks, and no answers. The forest had swallowed her whole. Maya's father, once a man of adventure, had become bitter and overprotective. He had forbidden Maya from stepping into the deep woods, warning her that the Silent Valley, the place her mother had last been seen, was cursed. But Maya didn't believe in curses, she believed in secrets. And tonight, as she sat in the cool air, she heard something she had never heard before. A low, eerie hum, almost like a voice, drifting from the direction of the Silent Valley. Her heart pounded. Could it be? She ran inside, grabbed her notebook, flashlight, and an old radio tracker, one of the last things her mother had left behind, and slipped out into the night. The forest was alive in the darkness. Crickets chirped, owls hooted, and leaves rustled in the breeze. But Maya wasn't listening to those things. She was following the sound. The hum was faint but steady. It didn't sound like any bird or animal she knew. It wasn't the wind. It almost sounded like a message. She clicked on her radio tracker and adjusted the frequency. Static crackled through the tiny speaker, but then a soft pulse. Her breath caught. The same strange pulse her mother had been tracking before she disappeared. Maya followed the sound deeper into the woods, stepping carefully over roots and stones. The deeper she went, the quieter the world became. Even the crickets had stopped singing. The silence was thick, pressing against her ears like cotton. And then, a whimper. Maya froze. The sound was small and weak, like a cry for help. She moved quickly, pushing through the undergrowth. The flashlight beam swept across the forest floor, searching. Then, beneath the tangled roots of an old oak tree, a wolf cub. Its fur was silver, almost glowing under the moonlight. It was caught in a metal trap, its small body trembling. Blood stained the ground beneath its paw. Maya gasped. Who had set a trap this deep in the forest? The cub's wide golden eyes met hers, filled with fear and pain. "It's okay," she whispered, kneeling beside it. "I won't hurt you." She reached out a hand slowly, but the cub flinched. Maya's heart ached. It was scary, and rightfully so. If she left it here, it wouldn't survive the night. She glanced around nervously. The mother wolf had to be nearby. Would she attack? If Maya tried to help? But there was no sound, no movement. Why wasn't the mother coming for it? Maya took a deep breath. "I have to help," she told herself. She grabbed a small pocket knife from her backpack and began working on the rusted trap. The metal was old but stubborn. She gritted her teeth, struggling to pry it open. The cub whimpered louder. I know, Maya said, her voice soft. "I'm almost there." Finally, snap! The trap released, and the cub yanked its paw free. It stumbled backward, shaking, but didn't run. It just stared at her. Maya reached into her backpack and pulled out a soft cloth. "Let me wrap your paw." To her surprise, the cub let her. She gently wrapped the cloth around its wound, her hand steady. "There, that should help." For a long moment, the cub just sat there, watching her. Then, slowly, it took a shaky step forward, toward her. Maya smiled. "You're okay now." But then, a low growl rumbled from the darkness behind her. Maya's breath hitched. The mother wolf. Maya turned slowly, her hands raised in surrender. The mother wolf was massive, her silver fur blending into the shadows. Her golden eyes locked onto Maya. Maya didn't move. The wolf took a step closer, sniffing the air. She could smell Maya on her cub. Would she attack? Maya's heartbeat thundered in her ears. Then, the wolf looked past her, ears twitching, as if she had sensed something else. A snap of a branch in the distance. Maya turned sharply. Was someone else here? The mother wolf let out a deep, warning growl, not at Maya, but at the unseen presence in the trees. Maya's skin prickled. She wasn't alone. She grabbed the cub protectively and backed away. "Come on," she whispered. The mother wolf didn't stop her. Instead, she turned and vanished into the shadows, melting into the mist like a ghost. Maya scooped up the cub and ran. By the time Maya reached her village, the cub was weak in her arms. She rushed into her small house and grabbed a bowl of water and some old bandages. The cub drank, exhausted but trusting. Maya sat beside it, catching her breath. "What are you?" she murmured, studying the creature. It wasn't a normal wolf. Its fur shimmered, almost as if it held light within it. Its eyes weren't just gold. They had flecks of silver, almost like stars. And then Maya saw it. Beneath the cub's fur, near its neck, a small metal tag. Her hands shook as she reached for it. She turned it over and gasped. There was a symbol etched into the metal, a symbol she had seen before. It was in her mother's old notebooks. Maya's heart pounded. This cub wasn't just any animal. It was connected to her mother's disappearance, and someone else in the forest knew it. Maya stared at the metal tag in her shaking hands. The symbol etched into it was a circle with 3 curved lines inside, like sound waves. It was identical to the sketches in her mother's old notebooks. She grabbed the dusty journal from under her bed, flipping through the pages. And there it was, the same symbol drawn over and over again, next to notes about Project Echo. Her pulse quickened. The cub wasn't just a lost animal. It was part of whatever her mother had been researching. She turned to the cub, who was curled up beside her, its golden eyes blinking sleepily. It trusted her now. But who had tagged it? Who had set that trap? Maya glanced at her window. The forest outside seemed darker tonight, like it was holding its breath. Something was happening, and she needed answers. She needed to go back. Maya knew sneaking out again was dangerous, but she couldn't ignore what she had found. She needed help. There was only one person she trusted with secrets this big. Jonas. Jonas was Maya's best friend, but he was nothing like her. He wasn't drawn to the mystery of the forest. He was obsessed with facts, logic, and science. Maya hurried to his house, tapping softly on his window. A moment later, his sleepy face appeared. "Maya?" His eyebrows shot up. "Why are you outside at—" He checked his phone. "Midnight? I need your help." He frowned. Maya rolled her eyes. "You don't even know what I'm asking. If it involves sneaking into the woods where your mom vanished, then no." Maya held up the metal tag. "Look at this." Jonas squinted at it under the moonlight. "It's a tracking tag." She shook her head. "Not just any tag. Look at the symbol." Jonas blinked, then froze. "Maya, this is from your mom's research." Maya nodded. "That means she was onto something, and I think someone is trying to keep it hidden." Jonas sighed. "This is dangerous." Maya looked him in the eye. "Please." Jonas groaned. "Fine, but if we die, I'm coming back to haunt you." They reached the forest just as the wind picked up, rustling through the trees like whispers. Jonas had brought his dad's old camera, a pocket knife, and a flashlight. Maya had her mother's journal and her radio tracker. The cub followed them. It limped slightly but refused to stay behind. They moved deeper into the forest, past the old hunting trails and into the silent valley. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. No crickets, no owls, just silence. Jonas shivered. This place feels wrong. Maya checked her radio tracker. The strange hum was back, stronger this time. Then, ahead, she saw something. A structure, half hidden by vines. Her breath caught. An abandoned research facility. Her mother had been here. The door was rusted shut, but Maya and Jonas pushed against it until it gave way with a metallic groan. Inside, the air was stale. Dust covered the walls. Broken computers sat on old desks. Papers were scattered across the floor. And then, a sound. a faint, repeating signal coming from deeper inside the building. Maya turned to Jonas. "Do you hear that?" Jonas nodded. "It's some kind of transmission." They followed the sound down a hallway and into a room labeled echo chamber. Inside, Maya saw recording equipment, screens, and charts of sound waves. She flipped through an old notebook on the desk. The handwriting was familiar, her mother's. Her heart pounded as she read. The echo creatures don't just communicate, they remember. The signal is more than sound, it's a message. And someone is trying to stop me from decoding it. Maya's fingers tightened around the pages. Her mother had discovered something about these creatures, and it had cost her everything. Jonas grabbed her arm. "Maya, look at this." On the far wall, security footage was still running. And on the screen, a figure in a hazmat suit, dragging something through the forest. Maya's blood ran cold. "What? What are they doing?" Jonas whispered. The timestamp on the screen was from 3 nights ago. "Jonas," Maya's voice trembled, "I think they're still here." A metallic clang echoed from somewhere outside. Jonas and Maya froze. The cub let out a low growl. Footsteps, heavy, coming closer. Maya grabbed the notebook and shoved it into her backpack. Jonas switched off his flashlight. "Maya, we need to hide, now." They ducked behind an old filing cabinet just as the door creaked open. A shadowy figure stepped inside, holding a rifle. Maya's heart pounded. Who were they? Why were they here? The figure scanned the room, their boots crunching over broken glass. Then, their radio crackled. A voice on the other end. "We have a problem. The tagged cub is missing." Maya's stomach dropped. They were hunting the cub, and if they found it, they would find her too. The figure turned toward their hiding spot. Maya held her breath. Then, a deafening howl from outside. The figure tensed. Their radio crackled again. "The pack is moving. Something's wrong." The figure cursed, turned, and hurried out of the building. Maya didn't waste a second. "We have to go," she whispered. Jonas nodded, his face pale. "But where?" Maya's grip tightened on the cub. "To the only place they won't follow." Jonas looked at her in confusion. Maya took a deep breath. The Echo Wolves' territory.
Maya gripped the cub tightly as she and Jonas slipped out of the abandoned research facility. The night air was thick, and every shadow seemed alive. The hunters were out there somewhere, searching, and the cub, injured, exhausted, was still their target. Maya turned to Jonas. "We need to reach the Echo Wolves' territory before they do." Jonas hesitated. "Are you sure? What if?" A sudden gunshot rang out in the distance. They flinched. Jonas swallowed. "Okay, running now." They sprinted into the forest, dodging fallen branches and weaving between trees. The cub whimpered in Maya's arms, but she held on tightly, whispering soft reassurances. The deeper they ran, the more the air changed. It was colder, heavier. The forest here felt different. Then suddenly, a howl, low, deep and ancient. Maya stopped in her tracks, heart pounding. Jonas gulped. "Tell me that was far away." It wasn't. From the mist, figures began to emerge. Not hunters, not people, wolves. But not like any wolves Maya had ever seen. Their fur shimmered with silver, reflecting the moonlight like flowing water. Their eyes glowed with flecks of blue and gold. And they weren't growling, they were watching. The largest one, a massive creature with a scar over one eye, stepped forward. Jonas tensed beside her. What now?" Maya didn't know. But then the cub in her arms gave a weak cry. And in that instant, everything changed. The large wolf's ears perked. It stepped closer, its gaze locked on the cub. Then softly, it let out a sound. A low, rhythmic hum, almost musical. The cub immediately perked up and answered with the same sound. Jonas's eyes widened. "Wait, they're talking?" Maya's breath hitched. Not just talking, they were remembering. And then, without warning, the scarred wolf turned, let out a final howl, and took off into the trees. The rest of the pack followed. Maya and Jonas were left standing in silence. Jonas exhaled. "So, we're not dead. That's good." Maya wasn't listening. She understood. The wolves had given them a path, a direction. They wanted her to follow. They followed the wolves deep into the valley. The mist thickened, curling between the trees like ghosts. Then, through the fog, a structure. Not a building, not a cave, a monument. Stone pillars, ancient and weathered, stood in a perfect circle. Symbols were etched into them, the same ones from her mother's notebook. Jonas let out a low whistle. What is this place? Maya stepped forward, running her fingers over the markings. It's part of Project Echo. She turned back to Jonas, heart racing. This is what my mom was looking for. The moment she said it, the cub howled, and something beneath them rumbled. Maya gasped. The stone pillars began to glow. Jonas took a step back. That's not normal. Maya's radio tracker crackled to life. A signal, loud, strong, and then a voice. Faint, distant, but unmistakable. Maya froze. She knew that voice. It was her mother. Jonas turned to her, eyes wide. Maya, is that? She didn't answer. She was already running toward the center of the monument, heart pounding. If her mother's voice was here, maybe, just maybe, she wasn't gone. Maya and Jonas followed the signal to the center of the monument. A stone slab lay in the middle, cracked and weathered. Strange symbols were carved into it, along with something even more shocking, a metal console, partially buried under vines. Jonas gasped. This is tech. Old tech. Maya kneeled beside it. The signal pulsed from here. Carefully, she wiped the dust away and found something even more impossible, a handprint scanner, and beside it a small inscription. Jonas read it aloud. Only one who remembers may enter. Maya stared at it. What did that mean? Then, suddenly, a memory flashed through her mind. Her mother, sitting at their kitchen table, tracing her fingers over an old book. Echo creatures don't just communicate, Maya. They pass down memories. They carry the voices of the past. Maya's eyes widened. That's what this place was, a repository of memory. And the cub, the Echo wolves, were its guardians. Heart pounding, she placed her hand on the scanner. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground shook. The stone slab split apart, revealing a passageway leading deep underground. Jonas stared in disbelief. Okay, that is officially the coolest thing I've ever seen. Maya didn't hesitate. She turned to the cub. You brought me here for a reason, didn't you? The cub blinked, its golden eyes reflecting the glowing symbols around them. Then, slowly, it stepped forward, leading them into the unknown. The underground chamber was vast, filled with rows of old servers, machines, and consoles covered in dust, and at the far end, a large screen flickering weakly. Maya rushed to it, her heart pounding. Then, a video started playing. A woman appeared on the screen. Maya's breath caught. It was her mother. If you're seeing this, then you found the Echo Wolves, and you've heard their message. Maya's chest tightened. Mom, the hunters don't understand. The Echo Wolves aren't dangerous. They are the last keepers of something ancient, something powerful. The screen flickered. They carry memories, not just their own, but of every living thing before them. They are history itself. Jonas whispered, they're like a living library. Maya nodded, barely able to breathe. Then her mother's voice turned serious. If this message has reached you, then the hunters are close. You must protect the wolves. If they are destroyed, so is the knowledge they carry. Maya's eyes burned with determination. She turned to Jonas. We have to stop them. Jonas exhaled. I knew you were going to say that. Maya faced the cub, placing a gentle hand on its fur. I won't let them take you. And as if understanding her words, the cub let out one final haunting call. A call that echoed through the valley, a call that awakened the past. And somewhere in the forest, the Echo Wolves answered. Maya stood at the entrance of the hidden chamber, staring out into the misty forest. The wolves were still calling, their haunting cries weaving through the trees like threads of an ancient song. Beside her, Jonas exhaled sharply. So, what now? Maya tightened her grip on her backpack. Inside it was her mother's final message, the research notes, and the last remaining proof of Project Echo. The hunters won't stop, she said. They think the Echo Wolves are dangerous, that they can be controlled or erased. Jonas sighed. And we're just two kids. How do we stop them? Maya glanced down at the silver-furred cub, now standing tall beside her. We're not alone, she said. And at that moment, the forest answered. Shapes moved between the trees, the Echo Wolves emerging from the shadows. Their glowing eyes flickered like stars, their fur shimmered in the moonlight. The scarred alpha stepped forward, locking eyes with Maya, and then he bowed his head. A silent agreement, a promise. The wolves weren't just guardians of the past, they were protectors of the future. Maya felt a weight settle in her chest, not fear but purpose. She turned back to Jonas. "We expose the truth. We tell the world what's really happening." Jonas stared at her, then let out a short laugh. "You're serious, aren't you?" Maya smirked. "Have I ever not been?" Jonas shook his head. "This is insane, but I'm in." She smiled. Together they stepped into the darkness, the cub trotting at their heels. The forest shifted around them, alive with whispers. Somewhere in the distance, the hunters were still searching. But now, Maya knew the truth, and the echo wolves weren't just stories anymore. They were real. They were watching. And as long as they still sang their ancient songs, the world would never forget. The last echoes of the wild would never fade.